to follow, isn't it? So I don't have any social media content, and if I knew you guys were here, I would have got Riot Games or one of our customers or the Valorant gaming. But maybe that's a topic for the future. But what I want to do today really it's kind of interesting to listen to that because there's just so much more the industry is trying to do with content and with less. And what I kind of almost want to flip it and is talk a little bit about less is actually much, much more in the content of, you know, we've got to create more content, more engaging content, but also we've got to create the cost capacity to actually do more of this stuff. And also, we've got to also do it in a much more sustainable way, right? and actually use less energy as well when we do this. So I want to talk a little bit about some more of the technologies that enables this, and actually try to do it with customer case studies than me boring you to death talking about our products. So that's what I'll try to do in the next 10 minutes. You lot know this, and I'm talking definitely at the elite end of the sports, that there is a huge amount of money being spent on rights. And these are lots of data from various people such as Deloitte, but you can see the huge amount of value being bought on sports rights and broadcast rights. And if you look at particularly the elite end of it, the cost per match, per right, is huge. And clearly these businesses who are buying these rights need to make the return on that kind of investment in there. But that's the first point. And you know, one of the things when you've got to create more of this engaging content, it does cost more. So you've got to create more cost efficiencies, but you're also using a lot more technology. So therefore, that's also a lot more energy use as well, and we've got to do it much more sustainably. But let me talk through just a few customer case studies for us. So I think we talked a lot about how people want more engaging content. This was an event we actually did with NASCAR, and I've used a few US examples here just because the scale of what they do in North America is absolutely huge. But this was an example for NASCAR. We did quite a complex video alignment and a syncing capability. AWS actually had the multicam workflow operating in AWS Cloud. And what then users could do is go into an app, and there was some smart video syncing, so actually you can go and watch individual cars, individual cameras on cars, access all the telemetry data, but the experience is seamless. So what you see on the screen matches what you're seeing in the app. What you don't want to do is watch your car sitting in the pit, but actually then you go in the app and he's actually driving around the actual track. So there's a way where we're actually looking at technology to actually create new experiences. And you're seeing, you know, particularly the motor racing part of the world use a huge amount of camera feeds. Formerly, one of our we work with Gravity Media on that one. They have usually sometimes 200 different cameras at an event, filming all kinds of content, both the actual main event, looking at fans, interviewing, etc. So, but that needs really, really super efficient technology. Now, the other thing, just very briefly, and I'll come into some of those use cases, is, you know, actually using less energy. We've all got a role to play in, and actually, first of all, it's a good thing. Actually, it's just good to use less energy, power, etc. But it's also really good for business. Now, most of you know that F1 have a pledge about being net zero by 2030, and F1's great because there's just loads of commentary about it. You can see lots of reports on there as well. Now, I am not at all claiming that a peer are wholly contribute for these factors in, but we do know sustainability is really important for engaging young viewers. Now, I'm not going to read through all those stats. You can read them for yourself, but you can actually see that, and I think it's really interesting, the 2020 Forbes one, the second point from the end, and that's a bit old, some of the stats there, is F1 are now attracting a huge amount of young audiences. And actually, if you look at through the stats, and F1 do actually a brilliant report, what they're also seeing is a direct alignment with less energy to actually engaging young audiences and bringing young audiences into their mix as well. So that's really, really important. By the way, that top stat, which is pretty much brand new, by the way, sorry, a slight typo there, that's their F1 report 2023. But actually, if you looked at their 2019 report, they were about 10% more CO2, and they're actually doing more events now. And actually, logistics then was over 70% of the CO2. They got it down to 49%. So F1 are clearly doing a good job about trying to reduce their carbon footprint as well. But the link here really is that we've all got a role to play, and actually using less energy is really, really important, particularly, and it's good for business. Now, let me give you a couple of brief examples for that. Now, density for us and what we really play on is trying to do an awful lot in a small form factor, a small box. So you actually use less technical space or rack units, and you use less energy, less cables, means less plastic, greater operational efficiency, so you don't have to install and move around boxes. If you're doing a lot of outside broadcasting, you've got to ship these boxes all around. So actually that means less cost if you can use less weight and less space. Now let me just show you a couple of examples on here. Now, most of you may know Roberts. So Roberts Communications Network are a big live sports service provider in North America. They're well known for the horse racing. And I use this example because I think they're one of the few areas of sports, certainly in the world, where they actually take in sports coverage pretty much on a weekly basis from over 100 different event venues across US. And they're pretty much doing that. You all know about Kentucky Derby, but they're doing huge. So it's huge scale. The operation is massive. And they bring in video feeds from satellite over fiber all over. And actually, see that picture there with the rack units? That is 58 rack units that they previously used to bring all their satellite signals in. 58 rack units of what we call demodulation, basically bringing satellite signals down. They're moving it all to us, and they're going to put it all into 4 rack units, and then have the ability to use our technology to, say, send feeds out to the internet, ground-to-cloud applications, or feed them elsewhere. So that's really big for them, and actually they can then free up that technical space for other applications, whether it's enhancing their social media content, for example. But that's one real application on there. So 58 units down to 4. This is NBC Universal, actually NBC Sports out in Stanford. In that kind of grey picture there, they were doing effectively video processing 50 channels of HD, and I can't remember how much UHD, but a fair amount of UHD. And again, they need to free up the technical space. So again, they were moving to us. And again, the same platform, this is going to encoding for 50 channels of HD, and I can't remember how many UHD. And again, moving just to 4 rack units in there. And that frees up power, space, and efficiency, less energy, less cabling, less plastic. And that's really, really big for them as well. And we've got lots of cases like that. But that's really, really important for them. And also their overall sustainability goals and agendas for the business. So they're really a couple of quick examples in that space. And then lastly, by the way, who here has ever been asked to either input or lead for a sustainability report for their business? Anyone been involved with them? Must get involved with them. They're a bit painful, aren't they? They're really, really painful. Now, I show this because I think this is the kind of reporting and analysis I think businesses, whether you're a broadcaster or content owner or a federation, are going to be increasingly likely. What is your impact on the environment? And by the way, and this is an analysis that Deutsche Telekom did. So this is not our analysis, it's their analysis. Deutsche Telekom being pretty much the largest IPTV broadcaster in Germany. I shouldn't probably say that because of Sky Germany link here, but really big. And what they did a whole bunch of analysis around encoding or processing 10 UHD channels. Okay, so a bit technical, but that's what they were looking at as part of the decision-making process. And they measured a whole bunch of things. Power outage, the weight per channel in terms of the boxes, electronic waste, physical waste, power usage as well, the amount of rack spaces you can see there. But I think the most interesting stat there is the one on the upper right, where actually they found our solution versus another leading server-based solution. Our solution used 40 times less carbon emissions than our leading competitor. And I really like this report actually because it really puts into real, I think, business speak, the impact that technology does have on the sustainability aspects of what we do as a business on there. But anyway, so I thought I'd share this report because it's not our numbers, it's actually Deutsche Telekom's, but I'm seeing more and more customers around the world doing these types of analysis reports because it's really important for their sustainability, and particularly from a broadcaster or a federation's perspective, it's really important because they are trying to attract younger audiences into their kind of content domain. So it's really, really important. So look, that's all I wanted to share today. I'm not sure if there's any time for questions on what we just covered, or have I taken up my 10 minutes? Question at the front here.
Hi there, Anders Lorentzen. I'm a freelance writer. I was just wondering, in terms of actually the sustainability that we see in the sports world in terms of broadcasting, how does that stack up against the other side of the industry, like drama production and stuff like that? Because I know that you mentioned Sky there, and you have Albert and the others who actually kind of legislating that. So I just wonder if that, in terms of competitiveness, if the industry needs to up the game a little bit in terms of sports production to follow the rest of the industry, align with them.
Well, I can't really comment on the other sectors, but what I am seeing is really increasing interest in the sustainability aspects of what they do, both in their own environment and outside. For example, give you an example in our organisation, as a user of energy, we're not massive. We have an office, we have some R&D, etc. But our impact is obviously in our production chain. So, our producer of our goods in Norway, actually, for example, they're completely renewable energy. In fact, they dug 300-meter holes to actually do all the cooling. So we're really interested in that because that's the knock-on impact and our ESG impact on the industry. So I think the actual industry are really up in the game, but certainly on the sports side, because of the real interest in the younger fans, they are beginning to up their game a little more. And I think you're going to see a lot more of these kind of types of either reports or requests for these from vendors and suppliers because they have to put it into their overall sustainability agenda. So I'm seeing a lot more of that.
It means that most companies have sustainability teams in place, because that's obviously a new kind of event into any kind of company. Yeah. That you'll actually not apply only sustainability management, but also teams who actually just focus on actually driving down emissions and come up with reports like that. Yeah, I mean it kind of depends. Right? I mean a listed company in most countries will have there's EU regulations on ESG, for example, environmental sustainability and governance. So I think there's legislation out there, but also I think increasingly, corporations they know this is a good thing to do, and they are actually taking a lot more time and effort in this. Yeah. Okay. Great. Nothing else? Heather, thank you, and I'll hand back to you, Heather. Thank you.